Live. All right. So this is maybe one of the stranger things I've ever felt the need to do, but I do feel a desire to document this particular artistic endeavor. And there are a lot of layers and a lot of pieces to the story, but I want to get it all. The shoe was done and I was packed her up and brought her to the shop and I was like, all right, it is her time to go to her forever home. It is, I like to say, it is Tuesday, April 1st. So it is Tuesday, April 1st. But I'm not working on anything. There's so many things I should be, quote unquote, should be working on. I really need to slash want to slash it's the time to do some St. Joseph Psalters, mini ones. And I am going to do that, but she's done and ready to go to her forever home. But before she goes, I just want to exhaustively document her, talk about my experience making her and planning her, and I just want to do that. So this is my this is the deep dive that I for some reason feel the need to do on this shoe that I for some reason needed to make, and for some reason we'll discuss the reasons and what happened here. So this, if you follow me at all, you have maybe seen my other friendship bracelet shoe. And this year I was on the Taylor Swift themed Muses float, which was super fun. We were the childless cat women, and that's my favorite float of all time. So I've been riding in Muses since 2016. Sweet 16 was my first ride, though I've been making Muses shoes since 2010. So I'm at 15 years. I'm at a decade and a half of making Muses shoes, still loving it more than ever. So this year I was on the Taylor Swift shoe, and Craft Culture, my craft store that I co-own with Lizette Constantine, we had some like friendship bracelet pop-ups, and it was really cool, and it was just really a lovely, creative, artistic vibe. And so I kind of got into the friendship bracelets and everything. And in my head, the friendship bracelet is kind of like cousins with the glass beads, which I think are kind of having a comeback. And I kind of got into the friendship bracelets, and I had this boot, and I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I put some friendship bracelets on the boot? And the friendship bracelets were not Taylor Swift themed. They were all like Happy Mardi Gras and like Uptown and and Muses themed. Like there was, I had all the parades that I had ridden in. I had a bracelet for each of those and all that. And it came out very cute, and I love it very much. And I did a little virtual shoe toss. And I want to talk about why I did a virtual shoe toss. So I made the shoe, and I shared it, and as I was working on it and filling in the beads, I showed it on my Instagram, and people were very engaged with it. It was wonderful, and it was just kind of a cool thing to talk about it with people. And one particular one particular follower, I guess, really connected to the shoe because she was just such a mega Swiftie. And so she sent me pictures of like her outfit and was like, I would really love to catch the shoe. And I was like, oh man, fingers crossed. I feel like she would be the perfect person for this. I don't really, and if you followed me for a while, I don't really give away like my exact position, because I want to leave a little magic in the moment. If I tell somebody like, all right, I'm here and this is this, then it's very, I feel a ton of pressure to like it's the part of the ride. Part of what happens when you go out there with shoes is you just don't know what's going to happen in the magic of the moment. Like you're going to see somebody and it's just going to feel right. And so I never want to take that moment away for myself, but also for the person. Like I don't want it to be like, all right, meet me here, meet me there. Like we're doing this. Like it's not, I don't want it to be like a, MIA, not MIA, what are they called? MI6? I don't want it to be like, I don't want it to be too clinical. I don't want it to be too scripted. So I was like, all right, I have seen her. I think this is the one, but I'm leaving some space. And it got to be kind of late in the evening. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna goose the statistics a little. I'm not going to say, all right, let's meet here and let's do this and let's like hand it off. But I am gonna shoot her a message, this particular Swiftie, because I was looking for her, and she sent me pictures of how she was going to be dressed up, and I was like, I really feel like that's the home for a friendship bracelet shoe. And so it got to be kind of late in the evening, and it was a very weird, the parade was, the pacing was very strange this year. I think riders felt it, and also people in the crowd felt it. There was a lot of stopping and then a lot of too fast and like delays and stuff. And that's the nature of Mardi Gras. Like you can't, if you throw a big party on wheels outside, you can't get too mad about the details of how it shakes out. But I texted her and I was like, have I missed you? I'm looking for you. This is my exact float position. And it turned out that she had had a great night, had a wonderful time, but also she had left between the float before, she had left right before my float. She had left. And I was like, oh man, I guess it just wasn't, I don't know. I guess it just wasn't, for some reason, that one wasn't in the cards. And y'all, I really feel like that wasn't in the cards that night in that moment, because I think I needed to do this, and I think it needed to be for her. I think the universe, I think there was that, I think that's why, I think that's why that shoe wasn't her shoe. I think the universe knew where, I think she would have been a great home for that one, but I feel like I needed to go even a little bit further on it. I needed to really lean in and embrace the Swiftie. And that's the thing. I'll never beat the Swiftie allegations at this point, because I think there is a little bit of, as a grown woman, you don't want to be like, oh yeah, I'm a Swiftie, but I'm a Swiftie, loud and proud. What's the point of arguing about it? So I have made this, when I did my virtual shoe toss, not only did she say, oh my gosh, I hope it's me. I hope I get it in the virtual shoe toss. But a bunch of people were like, oh, I'm entering the virtual shoe toss for this person. And so she's obviously very loved. She's obviously very known. She's obviously very, has a lot of people in her corner who want to see her have her Swiftie flag fly proudly, and love that. Okay, so I made this shoe, and y'all can see it's about twice the size of the first one I did. I have a bunch more that I'm doing. We'll talk about those later when I work on them. But I had this big shoe from a muse who I call the chess master, and that's another story for another day, but who collects shoes from dancers that get, broken and the dancers can't use them anymore. So I have a precious little stash of shoes from dancers. And so I knew this was going to be my base. So I started out in a mix of colors that kind of look like the Lover bodysuit. So you can see it's mostly covered. So on the one hand, it's like, oh, why did you even bother glittering this one? But you can see, especially in person, little pockets of glitter. But that's an enormous amount of backstory. I want to describe everything that happened on the shoe. So let's start at the top. So what y'all can see is it's a boot. I reinforce my boots so that they have nice, strong, I don't want them to sag at all. I don't want them to lose their pretty shape. I want a pretty silhouette. So when I have a boot, especially a nice tall boot like this, what I do is I cut a Mardi Gras cup, a plastic Mardi Gras cup, and I make like a little tube, and that goes in there and enforces it. So this one is really enforced because I needed it to hold its shape really, really beautifully. All right, so then at the top, my Swifties have probably already spotted what we have at the top, and it's very, very big and showgirl and dramatic, but luckily the silhouette of the boot, I think, holds up to it. So it's look how tall that is from it's a tall shoe. It's a display piece. It's a commitment to have this in your home. So I have the feathers at the top, and what I have is one feather for each of the eras. So you can see we start with the sort of mint green for the debut album. Then we go into yellow for Speak Now. Oh no, yellow into Fearless. Purple for Speak Now. Here's red. Here's that kind of periwinkle sky blue for 1989. Then we get into Reputation. Then pink for Lover. Then we have kind of tight against each other. We have Folklore and Evermore close together. Then we have Midnights, the kind of dark, dark navy blue, and then we have the Tortured Poets Department. So we have one feather for each era. So 11 feathers kind of making the crown up top. And obviously the color scheme will come back again and again and again. So we have those up here. And just as a little, because I'm documenting it, because I'm getting into all the nooks and crannies and all the weird bits and bobs in the process of making this, Several of these feathers, probably not quite half of them, but pretty close. Several of these feathers I personally custom dyed so that they would be the right color scheme. So some of them, like, a cream feather you can buy, but a bunch of these I personally hand dyed. All right, so starting up at the top, and I want to make sure everything shows pretty good. All right, so the very top bracelet is a recreation of the big inflated friendship bracelet that was on the Superdome. And at all points, I'm kind of trying to balance both the performance specifically as it was in New Orleans, but also aspects of just sort of the popular consciousness. So the very top bracelet, y'all can maybe see, and I realize all the wording is probably going to be flipped, or does it? It looks, it might be flipped. Anyway, so the very top bracelet is a recreation of that inflated friendship bracelet. And I put that on another shoe. I've shown that before. But it says, Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour. And it's got the beads in the colors that were on the Superdome. So then, first up, we have Miss Americana. The documentary, and also how the Eras Tours opens. It's been a long time coming. So it's Miss Americana. And I've done like some red, white, and blue beads here. And in general, it's not like rigorously upheld, but in general, the big beads are song titles or album names, and the little beads are lyrics. So if you see something written in the small square beads, it's a lyric, whereas if you see something in the big round beads, that's usually an album or a song. Usually, but not every time. So at the very top is the Eras Tour, Taylor Swift, with the reproduction of what's on the Superdome, or what was on the Superdome. Then first up, Miss Americana, and then right below it, lyric from Miss Americana. My favorite. Sometimes it's like, oh, this is the most iconic lyric, and sometimes it's like, this is just personally my favorite. So the third one down in the Miss Americana, the red, white, and blue, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, which I think is a great lyric and wise to remember. Right after that, we have Cruel Summer. And Cruel Summer, I have the pink and the blue, that kind of cotton candy pink and bubblegum pink mixed with the different shades of blue. So Cruel Summer, very kind of classic, that color scheme, that lover color scheme. Then I have the man after that, and I've done the man in kind of a black and white kind of because it's set, that the set dressing is very like corporate for that. So I have kind of a black and white with kind of some cut crystal shapes. Then after that, and I've done it in this really fun multicolor beads that are really bright and really cheerful and really kind of, because I think the song is a little bit about, living your best life and not being especially concerned that that critics are mad about it. So I have You Need to Calm Down in brightly colored letters that are really fun and really happy. And then I've got a little bit of rainbow in there, which sort of foreshadows the lyric that I pulled out of You Need to Calm Down, which is one of probably my all-time favorite Taylor Swift lyrics, because I just love it because it's bananas. Right below, so we've got the rainbow right below it, and it says in the little letters, "'Cause shade never made anybody less gay." I love that. I love that lyric. Right below it is Lover. And I've picked out a bunch of like pink and different shades of pink and red. So it has that kind of dreamy cloud quality. And then it's got pink beads to pull the Lover color scheme. And so then we are done with the Lover era and into Fearless we go. And so Fearless is done entirely in like yellows and golds and really like warm yellows. So I have Fearless, I have You Belong With Me in the yellows and the golds. And then the last one is Love Story. And with Love Story, I've kind of put a little daisy chain in there, some of these beautiful glass daisy beads to kind of give it that sort of, romantic, old-fashioned kind of vibe that song has. All right, so that takes us out of Fearless and into Red. And so Red is, of course, done entirely in different kinds of red beads, and I kind of tried to match the type of bead to the sort of vibe of the song. So we start with Red, and as you can see, I did all these kind of brass beads for Red to kind of make it stand out. And you can see that throughout, you can kind of see certain eras really stand out. So Red has these kind of copper tone beads, And then we've got Reputation in the black, and that's very dramatic. And then we'll get to this, but Folklore and Evermore in these sort of cottagecore, kind of mossy, patchworky kind of colors. So I did give, I think it goes without saying that I put a lot of thought into the bead choices. But if it wasn't obvious looking at this, I put a great deal of thought into the bead choices. So we start with red, and then I have two where I've done red, but I've also pulled this really fun kind of youthful, flirty pink color tone into it. And I think the 22 really pops because I've done the red and the pink there. I will be honest, at this point in time, I thought I was just never going to run out of space and I could fit as much as I wanted to. I had to get a little bit more strategic the closer I got to the bottom. But here I have 2 bracelets with lyrics from 22. So so it says red, signifying that we're going into the red album. Then I have I Don't Know About You, but I'm feeling 22. And beneath it, Everything Will Be All Right if we just keep dancing like we're 22. Which I think those are very fun lyrics, but it maybe didn't need 2 bracelets, but here we are. Sometimes you figure it out on the move, and sometimes there are things that you figure out as you're going. So I've got red and I've got 22. I've got 2 bracelets for 22. You would think that 22 is my favorite Taylor Swift song. I love it, but it's not like my favorite. Anyway, I Don't Know About You, but I'm feeling 22, and Everything Will Be All Right if we just keep dancing like we're 22. And I do think there is something, and I am borrowing the language of a much cooler Swiftie than myself, who is kind of like a Swiftie for a living. She does these very cool Swiftie themed events, Raising Hell events, if you haven't checked it out. Her name is Julia. And she was like, I think Taylor Swift really unapologetically celebrates girlhood in a way that a lot of things don't. And I thought that was a very cool way of putting it. So 22, I do think, is an unapologetic celebration of a time in your life when you were maybe making decisions in a different way. Red, 22, then we are never, ever, ever getting back together. And I have kind of a long stretch of red and gold beads, kind of signifying a long stretch of time. And so I have it's a fun song. It's a whimsical song. It's a breakup song, but in a fun way. So the red is a little bit more of a candy apple red and not kind of a dark red. And then beneath that, we have I Knew You Were Trouble When You Walked In. Great song. With some kind of darker, slightly more ruby toned red beads. And then finally, All Too Well. I have like a really red bead for All Too Well. And it says All Too Well in the copper toned beads. And then beneath that, it has what I think is my favorite and the most heartbreaking lyric, in my opinion, from All Too Well. And I think part of the beauty of being a Swiftie is different lyrics speak to different people. But the one that speaks to me, you kept me like a secret and I kept you like an oath. I think that's so beautiful. And then I had a little extra space, so I went ahead and put Sacred Prayer, which is also a lyric in there. And so then we are done with red, but before we move on from red to the next, before we get into the Speak Now era of the tour, it's not a song, but I thought it was a fun little Easter egg. I have the shirt she wore during the red portion of the concert. A lot going on at the moment. And you can see, not only have I done a lot going on at I'm trying to line it up. Not only have I done a lot going on at the moment, I've done it like it was on the shirt. I'm pretty proud of that. So a lot is in red and going on at the moment is in black. So it kind of looks like the shirt. And the beads are white, so it looks like the white shirt with the lettering on it. These are the things that mattered to me in terms of like how I wanted to execute it. So we did that. All right, then we're into Speak Now. So obviously a lot of purple, Speak Now, Enchanted. And I pulled the lyric from Enchanted, Please Don't Be in Love with Someone Else. And I went ahead and did In Love. I emphasized it with a little bit of like purple. And you can see I've done a ton of purple beads for that era because that era is just so all things purple. So that's it's a little stripe, but it's a very defined stripe. It's a very purple stripe. Speak Now, Enchanted, Please Don't Be in Love with Someone Else. Then we move into Reputation, and I have the first song ready for it, and you can maybe see, so it's black and silver, it's very drama, it's very I think very much on brand for that era. you can see that I've done like the little dots in Ready for It. I've made like little ellipses with the beads because no detail went overlooked. So I've got Ready for It, I've got Delicate, and I've done this whole stripe in like red and silver and black. And then for Don't Blame Me, I have a little bit of a mix of gold and silver to kind of give it a little bit more of an uneven kind of, you know, a little bit unhinged, a little bit of a kind of it's jumping around in a sort of almost, the thing that kept coming into my head was like a ransom note. Like I wanted the aesthetic of that. So because that song is like, don't blame me if love made me crazy. I think that's very kind of what I was going for. And then lastly, I have Look What You Made Me Do. And so what I've done, let's see. So Don't Blame Me, I've also pulled these beads that are like these little floral beads because I think they're beautiful in a very sort of vintage way, but it also is sort of evoking, I was once Poison Ivy and now I'm your Daisy. So Daisy is in there and it's also in the Daisy beads. So we hit recurrent motifs a little bit. So Don't Blame Me into Look What You Made Me Do. And the thing about Look What You Made Me Do is I have the tiniest little iridescent green snake charm just sitting on there because you got to have a snake for reputation. And then we'll get into the kind of wraparound of it. So I got to this point and I was like, oh my goodness, now we have to make some choices about what we're going to do in terms of the topology. Like, what are we going to do? Because I don't think I have quite enough space for absolutely everything. Where am I going to fit all the things? So at this point, I have Look What You Made Me Do. And beneath it, I have, I'm sorry, the old Taylor can't come to the phone right now. And at this point, I'm like, we got to start using all the surfaces of the shoe. We got to get every part of this shoe needs to be involved. So I have the lyric, I'm sorry, the old Taylor can't come to the phone right now. And this is where I kind of stopped and balked and was like, oh God, what now? But I was very driven to do this. And I think the sort of post-carnival blues really kept me motivated. So I have the old Taylor, I'm sorry, the old Taylor can't come to the phone right now. And it's hard to see underneath the shoe on the phone, but I have under here, the old Taylor can't come to the phone right now. Why? ... Because she's dead. And hanging from the Because She's Dead section are some little red and blacks and silver skulls, just to really emphasize, because that's such an iconic thing. The old Taylor can't come to the phone right now. Why? Because she's dead. So that's kind of under there in a little, it's the response. So I feel like under the shoe is a good spot for it, but I like that it's emphasized, that it's emphatic. All right. So beneath that, this is where I stopped and I did the Folklore and Evermore. I put them on the heel because those are all kind of short song titles. So like logistically it fit pretty easily to have like the Teenage Love Triangle songs and then kind of go into Champagne Problems and Illicit Affairs and My Tears Ricochet. So those are all here in these kind of cottagecore colors. And I really want to emphasize this because I love it. It's probably too hard to see, but incorporated into the Folklore bracelets, and I say bracelets, but the Folklore section of the shoe, I've used a stone called a mossy agate, and they're pretty little. Let me see if I can. You can maybe see them up here. They're round little stones, and they're beautiful. They look like beautiful, like mossy pond just captured into a bead. So I've used a bunch of mossy agates and just some kind of woodland colors. And I have some kind of wildflowers and some sort of mossy colors, subdued colors, just to kind of create that cottagecore aesthetic of Folklore and Evermore and to sort of evoke the mossy cabin and that beautiful moss-colored piano. And then I had a little space up there, so I was like, I got to put it somewhere. So I have that perfect little space. I got a blank space, if you will. And so I stuck the lettering for Taylor's version up there because I thought it needed to go somewhere, and that seemed like the perfect spot. So we have all of Evermore and Folklore, and then down here, as I get into the sort of end of that section, we have Willow. The song title, Willow, is right here below Marjorie. And I've put these beads that are sort of those glowing golden orange orbs that are both, there's the glowing orange kind of gold magic in the music video, but also in the Eras Tour, they carry those kind of cool orbs. So that's the version of that, but on the shoe. And then I had some space, so I put all the lyrics, not all the lyrics. That would be nuts even for me, though, man, I was tempted. I have a bunch of lyrics from Willow because of all of these. Willow is the one that I am most, that's my favorite from this era is Willow. So I have life was a willow and it bent right to your wind. And then the more you say, the less I know. Wherever you stray, I'll follow. Begging you please to take my hand, wreck my plans. That's my man. And so those are lyrics from Willow wrapped around the heel, kind of just making their way, that sort of magical trail making its way down the heel. And then here at the bottom to fill in the space, I have kind of a mix of beads, that sort of eclectic look of a bunch of different things mixed together. I kind of turned my bead soup into the bottom of the heel. All right, so that was done. So then underneath, we also have a little space for the surprise songs. And so I looked up what specifically the ones were in New Orleans and did those specifically. So that's kind of a hard, choice. So I've got Afterglow. It's hard to see, but I've got Afterglow with some kind of glowing, fiery orange beads in there. I've got Dress in kind of a hot red with some, she mentions gold in that song, and so I used gold beads in that, and she mentioned spilled wine, and so I did some beads that look like red wine droplets. She mentioned spilled red wine, so I have some red wine droplets for Dress and some gold beads. Then we have How You Get the Girl, and I did like an iridescent kind of black oil slick, just as a reference to kind of the video for that. And then finally I have Clean, and Clean I've done these sort of big droplets of rainwater. They look to me like big rainwater droplets and kind of light blue, kind of clean rainwater. And I think I love those. Those are fun. And also because I had a little space and I had the beads in no particular spot to put them, I put a couple little purple cat paws because, Taylor's favorite color is purple and her favorite animal is a cat. So that's like classic Swiftie trivia for you. So some little purple cat paws in there because if we were going to do it, we might as well overdo it. So those details are there. All right, so where that hit, we also are ready to go into Midnights. So here we have 1989. I've done a lot of kind of pink and black and white. And I know she wore different outfits for 1989, but in the version that the recorded version, it's pink with a lot of black and white. So I tried to do a lot of black and white with that kind of vintage fuchsia that she wears in the recorded version. I used the kind of sky blue for the 1989, kind of like the album cover style. I got a blank space, baby, I'll write your name, which that's one of my top 3 Taylor Swift songs is Blank Space. I just think that's a great one. And so here I've incorporated both the lyrics and the song title. So it says, I've got a blank space, baby, and I'll write your name in the little beads, but blank space, because that is the title, is bolded. And I kind of like to take a lyric and then bold something, and you'll see I do that a couple of times. All right, so then Shake It Off, kind of fun, pink beads. I do want to casually mention that Shake It Off, when my son was like 1.5 years old, that was his favorite, and his babysitter used to play that for him because she was a major Swiftie and probably like one of the first Swifties I knew. So his babysitter, who was a coworker of mine, would come over and play Shake It Off, and little baby Tommy would shake it. And then when she got married, he was her ring bearer, and the two of them had, you have your father-daughter dance and all that, and then your first dance as a married couple, and she had a dance with her ring bearer, and they danced to Shake It Off, and it was the cutest thing you ever saw. My baby. And now he's 10 years old and, so big. Babies do not keep. But if we get onto that tangent, we'll never get back anywhere. All right. Wildest Dreams, and then Bad Blood, which is 1989, but I felt like Bad Blood, you had to kind of acknowledge Bad Blood as its own thing. So Bad Blood is in the black and silver kind of aesthetic of the music video and just sort of the overall aesthetic of the song. And of course, I've incorporated these are vintage blood drops that I think looks so cool in there. So Bad Blood is there in black and silver with these vintage, like I want to say 1930s enamel blood drops. So that is 1989. And then we've got this little bit of space on the toe to do the Tortured Poets department. So TTPD is kind of this space on the toe. I've tried to stick to that kind of gray and kind of cream color palette. So it says TTPD right in the middle. And we get a little bit weird with kind of the angles here, but, you know, we get it done. So we have Female Rage the Musical. And then we have But Daddy, I Love Him. So High School. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me. I wanted to find a spot to put You Should Be, but I just couldn't. And, you know, you can't do everything. So Who's Afraid of Little Old Me. And you can see we're doing the grays and the creams. Fortnite. Down Bad. The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, right along the toe. And then the last song in that particular set, I can do it with A Broken Heart. It's just the cream pearls, and it just follows the shape of the shoe. And I love that the placement ended up being there. I tried to kind of think, it's hard to ballpark where the placement is going to be on things, but that's what I shot for it to finish the Tortured Poets department so that I really wanted this whole platform to be available for Midnights because, my God, I mean, there's so much. I could have done 2 shoes of I could have done 10 shoes for Midnights. I could have had a shoe for each song of Midnights, and I'm showing, I guess, my bias, but I could have had a whole shoe that just had all the lyrics of Karma because my top 3 are probably Karma, Bejeweled, and Blank Space. My husband knows my top 3 Taylor Swift songs. So we are done with everything else. We've done Miss Americana, we've done Lover, we've done Fearless, we've done Red, we've done Speak Now, we've done Reputation, we've done 1989. The heel is for Folklore and Evermore. We've done all of those. We went ahead and put the surprise songs underneath, kind of hidden, but still on the shoe. Tortured Poets department takes us to the toe of the shoe. Whew. And then the entire platform is Midnights. So the shape of the shoe didn't let me do one continuous thing all the way around, but I have Midnights here and I have Midnights here to indicate that this whole platform going down is going to be Midnights. And it's these really pretty kind of teals and, of course, midnight blue, tons of midnight blue. All right, so here we are into Midnights. I feel like I need a snack break, but I'm going to power through. That's the other wild thing is I would occasionally be like, oh, I'm getting so overwhelmed. And it's like, I mean, there are people who stand up and actually performed this entire set, you know, dancers and vocalists, and of course Taylor Swift herself. So, you know, maybe you can get through. All right, so we have finished Tortured Poets department and we are ready to do Midnights on the platform. And Midnights is my favorite and my favorite part of the shoe. So we have I Just Want to Stay in the Lavender Haze. And you can see Lavender Haze is done in a kind of dreamy lavender. I also did Stay because, you know, I just want to stay in the Lavender Haze. And it's the square beads of the lyrics, but also the lavender beads that I think kind of evoke that. So Lavender Haze is first. Then we have Antihero. And I've written Antihero, the title of the song. And I've also, you can maybe see, pulled out the stripes. It's the outfit she wears in the video with those kind of like cool sort of vintage burlesque stripes on it. So I matched the beads to that and I made the stripes for that. And so these are the stripes of her top. And then these are her little orange shorts with the sequins on it. So Antihero. And then beneath the title of the song I have, because of course you have to, you can't not. It's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me. Can't not do it. And it's in the same orange to tie it into the song title. But then because I had a little bit of space, I have It's Me, Hi, I'm the Problem, It's Me. And on the other side, it says, and this is one of my favorite details, at tea time, everybody agrees. And I had these little charms. Look at the little teapot, and the little teapot says tea time on it. So at tea time, everybody agrees. And God, I think that's just such a cool, evocative image of like all the busybodies kind of sitting around having their, it feels to me as a Southerner, very Southern. Everybody's sitting around at tea time and agreeing that someone is a problem. I think the idea of that sort of gossipy, busybody community weighing in on your life is so, I think that's magnificent. All right. So, I Just Want to Stay in the Lavender Haze. Midnight, the title. I Just Want to Stay in the Lavender Haze. Anti-hero. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. At tea time, everybody agrees. So then we have Midnight Rain. And so I haven't just said Midnight Rain. I have He Was Sunshine. And the sunshine letters are really bright, yellow, sunshiny. And the U in sunshine is a smiley face because like how much more He Was Sunshine can you be? And I hope y'all can see. And then it's on the other side, it says I Was Midnight Rain. And the Midnight Rain is the sunshine side is yellow, bright, sunshiny, and Midnight Rain is, of course, midnight blue. But I hope y'all can see that between them, I kind of did a little sunrise, sunset transition. So it melts from the midnight blue into just that little tiny detail, I think is very fun. That at the spot where it changes over from sunshine into midnight, I did a little bit of a sunset ombre. All right, Lavender Haze, Antihero, Tea Time. He Was Sunshine, I Was Midnight Rain. On my vigilante shit, so vigilante shit, I have done black and white. It's very like evidence. I've used the kind of, I really like that color scheme for that. You have to do, I mean, you can't not do a ton of black for vigilante shit. And to pull in with that, the beads that I've put into there, you can maybe see are a snowflake obsidian, which is one of my favorite precious stones. So it's black and white. It's very, I love it. It's very, I think black and white is both metaphorically apt and aesthetically apt. And of course, at the suggestion of my fellow muse, but also you can't not. So beneath that, in the same color scheme with those same snowflake obsidian beads, I of course have Draw the Cat's Eye, Sharp Enough to Kill a Man. That's what's up. Beneath that, I have Bejeweled, and I've picked out, and I sat there with pictures of the corset in the music video to pick out the colors of jewels that I felt most represented that. So it's black and silver, like the aesthetics of the music video, but then punctuated with all the jewels. And you can see all those pretty kind of crystals for Bejeweled. Best Believe I Stay Bejeweled. And then trying to pick just one lyric from Bejeweled is difficult. Again, that could have been in a whole shoe all on its own. But what I've done, the lyric that I've pulled out of here for Bejeweled, and you can hopefully see that I have picked out, it's all faceted Aurora Borealis crystals, some of which are square to represent the ice cubes, because that sequence in the music video where she's doing the burlesque rehearsal with her fairy godmother, who is Dita Von Teese, and they're doing the martini glass. So it's all like ice cubes and really shimmery Aurora Borealis cut crystals. And I've hung a couple of little olives on there for that, just a nod to that martini moment. And it's got what is, I think, it's a very stiff competition, but I do love What's a Girl Gonna Do? A Diamond's Gotta Shine. And I love it in eras when diamonds gotta shine and the lights come up real bright. That and in Blank Space where they hit the car with the neon golf clubs. Those are two things where I'm like, no matter how bad of a mood I'm in, if I watch that, I'm like, yes, I can do anything. All right, so vigilante shit, Draw the Cat's Eye, Sharp Enough to Kill a Man, Best Believe I Stay Bejeweled, What's a Girl Gonna Do? A Diamond's Gotta Shine, with the little olives and the little crystal ice cubes. All right, and then after that, Karma. So, Karma. Karma I've done in this sort of gold and white bead. And you can see I have the evil eye on there. The evil eye charm is meant to protect you from people who are jealous of you. And I think that's very on brand for that. So I have done kind of a little design with crystals and beads and the evil eye. And I have Karma just written over and over again, the title of the song. And then the extraordinary difficulty of picking which lyrics from Karma I wanted to do. I've often said that, like, I want to make myself, I still have my temporary tattoo of Dottie. I have often said I want to make myself like a ton, like 20 friendship bracelets to wear all at once that list all the things Karma is. Karma is my boyfriend. Karma is a god. Karma is the breeze in my hair on the weekend. A relaxing thought. I want to make all of them. But I was getting to the bottom and there was only so much left. So I have Karma, the title with the evil eyes and the blues and the golds. And then when push came to shove, I had to pick the lyrics that I liked the most, and stiff competition, but I had to go with Karma is the thunder rattling your ground, because gosh, I think that's great. Whenever that happens in the song, I get like a little goosebumpy tingles, Karma is the thunder rattling your ground. I love that. And so I have Karma is the thunder rattling your ground. That to me was like, this is the most evocative. But then I picked my fan favorites. Like I'm the only one voting here, so my favorite is the favorite. But I have Karma is a cat. Got to do Karma is a cat, that one, because I was on the cat ladies this year, and I love that. Karma is a cat. And so that I've done with some kind of calico cat colored beads and some little hearts because we love cats so much. And then on the other side, I have Sweet Like Honey. Karma is sweet like honey. I have a lot of feelings about bees and like the mythology of bees. So Karma being sweet like honey is a big deal to me. And I've done these honey colored beads. You can maybe see these pretty amber beads that represent the honey. And then on either side of the lyric sweet like honey, I have these tiny gold bees busily making that honey that Karma is like. Bees in Celtic mythology are seen as messengers between this world and the other world, the unseen world. And you have to tell the bees what's going on and keep the bees abreast of things. And I just think that I love bees and I love honey I love bees and I love honey from a literal standpoint, but also, I like the mythology of bees and I like what that represents. And I think honey is a very cool substance. So that brings us to the very end. It's Miss Americana, Lover, Fearless, Red, Speak Now. I'm getting it was kind of a big thing. It was kind of a big project and I put a lot into it. So it's kind of a thing for me to be at the end of it. So Reputation, 1989, Tortured Poets Department, Evermore and Folklore. Not in that order, sorry, Folklore and then Evermore. And then the surprise songs, Midnights, all the way down. And then at the very bottom, a sort of fun bit of serendipity. I don't know if that's the word. A fun thing that I noticed, because I knew that I wanted to, somewhere on this shoe, I wanted to have, so make the friendship bracelets, take the moment and taste it. I knew I wanted to put that on here somewhere. And I was kind of laying it out. I was like, oh gosh, like which color scheme do I do? Should I do like a mix of everything, like a little bit of everything? Because the friendship bracelets are sort of symbolic of the whole thing. So should I do just kind of like a mix of it? Should I like collage it together? And I laid it out and I realized that so make the friendship bracelets, take the moment and taste it is 11 words. So I could do one word for each of the eras. And that is exactly what I've done. So I have so is that mint green from the debut. Make has the yellow beads for Fearless. The is in those same purple beads that I did Speak Now. And has the same purple beads, letter beads, and the same purple beads flanking it. And then Friendship in Friendship Bracelets is the same red with kind of copper that I used for, it's not the exact same copper bead, but it is the same color scheme as red and the same kind of tones that I used. And then bracelets, I did in the same color scheme that I did 1989 with that periwinkle sky blue from the album. So make the friendship bracelets. And then we loop back around to take. Take is in the black and silver from Reputation. V is in the pink of Lover, and the beads are pink, and the letters are pink, and the beads around it are pink. And you can see if the word was long, I kind of let the word be the whole era, and then if it was a little short, I filled in a little extra space on the side so that each era was kind of similarly spaced. The Moment is in the kind of taupe that I used for Folklore, and is in the, it has some of those mossy agates. Again, my last couple of mossy agates went here. Take the Moment, and that's Evermore. And then Taste, I used the Hey Baby. My kitty cat came to say hi. Speaking of Karma being a cat. Taste, I used that same black and white that I used for Vigilante shit, and I added some little jewels, the same color as the crystals I used for Bejeweled, but then I also did the Midnight Blue for Midnights, and Taste It. I did the pearls for the Tortured Poets department. And then just at the bottom, I did just a mix of a bunch of different colors of beads to kind of have that tie it all together. And that is 46 minutes talking about all the details and Easter eggs on this thing that I, for some reason, felt the need to do. I mean, I say for some reason, I think it's a unique art form in that anything that appeals to you, you can make, you aren't, the thing about Muses shoes is you're making them out of love and nothing else. You do not have to worry about whether it's cost effective, whether you're going to like be able to make, make your money back. You don't have to worry about like, if you're going to meet your deadlines for your other project. It's, Muses shoes are pure expression. They're pure, Fanny says hi. They're pure creation. And I think that's what's really cool. So on the one hand, thanks, Fanny. On the one hand, oh my girl, we're almost at a year. We're almost at the anniversary of Fanny's Gotcha Day. It's almost been a year since we got Fanny and got her all fixed up and fat and sassy and living indoors, living the good life. This Karma is literally a cat purring in my lap because it loves me. My good girl. So yeah, I think on the one hand, it's sort of a crazy thing to do. And on the other hand, Karma is also a cat messing with my stuff because I need to be challenged. I think that's, on the one hand, kind of a strange thing to do. And it really did take me many, many, many hours, as I'm sure y'all can imagine looking at it. Even just the stringing of the bracelets takes a long time, but planning out where everything is going to be and measuring and finding the exact right thing and like spacing it all out, it's the thing that folks kept saying in my comments over and over again that I co-sign 1,000,000% is labor of love. It is a labor of love. It is a thing we do just because we love it. And I think that's very special. And there aren't a lot of activities that are like that. I think that's part of why the Muses shoe grabs people so much. I think it's such a pure expression of just generosity and love. And I'm so excited to hand this off to its forever home. I realize I was talking about it and I'm like, I realize now people are going to think, oh, you're like, you give shoes if people, I'm not asking for people to beg me for shoes and she did not. I don't want it to sound like she was, being anything other than absolutely lovely. She was very lovely. And I'm happy that I was able to make something that I think is worthy of her level of delightfulness. But I think, yeah, I'm not looking for people to be in my DMs begging me for shoes. I'm making it sound like, hey, if you beg me for shoes, I'm gonna go absolutely insane. It's not that. It's when the moment is right and the circumstances kind of align with your love and what's bottled up in you, what you feel like making. So that is my complete. I needed to document it for myself, if for nobody else. I needed a record of what all the pieces were that went into this, and like how she came together, how she turned from just glue and glitter and string and beads into this. And it was quite an experience, and I'm really happy to have had it. A little bit sad that it's over, but also kind of relieved that it's over, because it was like every morning I would wake up and be like, all right, let's how many bracelets can I get on the shoe before I gotta go do other things. But that one is done. I have another one that I've just started on, and I've shown some pictures of this one, but I can mention it quickly. So, same kind of thing. This one you can maybe see as an ombre. It goes from pink to blue. The two bracelets that I made for this one already, I can show you guys. Well, they're kind of sitting on there, so they might as well sit on there. So, they're kind of sisters. This one is going to be a celebration of parade culture. All the things that I think are cool about parades, the crews that I like, the walking crews that I like, the tidbits of history and the throws and the stuff that I think are cool. The very first bracelet that I made for this, I have these vintage tomatoes. I've made a bracelet that just, all it says is undignified, and it has the tomatoes, and then I just picked the beads to match the tomatoes. Mama, see. I love her so much, but she does love to get into things. All right, so the very first bracelet I made for this one just says undignified, and it's got these little tomatoes. And this one is my nod to the crew of Venus, who were the first female parade riders, the first women's crew. And when they rode at the time, it was seen as really out there. And people threw tomatoes and eggs at them. So I have the little tomatoes here because people threw tomatoes at them. And in the newspaper that covered the event, that covered the parade, covered the crew of Venus rolling, they have a man who was in attendance is quoted as saying, "It's undignified to have women on floats," which I think is wild, because look at us now. I think the women's crews are some of the most fun ones. I certainly love my women's crew. So undignified is the very first one that I made. And then even though I wasn't working on it, I felt there was something special about making on the day of the St. Patrick's Parade. I made a little friendship bracelet that says making groceries, because you can make your groceries at the St. Patty's Parade. You can go out there and catch your vegetables. So undignified is the first one, because that was how I wanted to start. That was like the point. That to me felt like a good jumping off point into a kind of intimidating project, which is like, how do I encapsulate everything I love about parade culture into a shoe? And I mean, maybe I don't, but I take a swing at it. And so undignified with the tomatoes, but then I made making groceries first, because I wanted to be stringing it on the day that the parade. I couldn't go to the parade, but I wanted to at least string my little bracelet, because parades aren't just Mardi Gras. So the St. Patrick's Parade and the St. Joseph's Parade. I'll probably make a St. Joseph's one next. Make a little St. Joseph pray for us and do the Italian stripes and maybe some lemons. I think that would be fun. But you can maybe see, I have some little, these are my little veggies. I have some little beads that look like carrots and some little beads that look like tomatoes. And I think that green rose kind of looks like a stylish little cabbage. So that's what I'm working on next. And, I'm making a ton of other stuff, because of course I am. Those post-carnival blues, they are hitting me real hard. So the only way to get past the carnival blues is to keep making stuff, to keep going. And it's, of course, umbrella season, because we have graduations and weddings. So I'm kind of taking some time to do umbrellas, because we have some orders for that at the shop. And we at the shop just had a very big, beautiful shop family wedding, and that took a lot of we were occupied with that, as we should be. celebrating our beautiful newlywed brides. So now kind of back to working on shoes. This will be heading off to its forever home. I'll be working on this, and I'm going to work on a bunch of other stuff. I need to do some, I want to do, it is my privilege and my honor to do some St. Joseph stuff, because the St. Joseph kit is back in stock at Craft Culture. I'm just going to frame my face just like that. The kit is back in stock at Craft Culture, so I want to make a demo, and I also just want to make some, because the spring is just the time of the year, I think, to do a St. Joseph's altar shoe. I like to do things kind of the moment. And then when I ride, I get to revisit all my little postcards to myself throughout the year. And I also got a request to make a YouTube video on how to do a suspension. So that is a very popular request, and I think it would be reasonably straightforward and helpful. And, I think that would be a good choice for me to do a suspension video. So I need to think a little bit about what is the most logical suspension. There is some suspension stuff on the Craft Culture YouTube, but, sometimes it helps to learn it in multiple places. So that's been just about exactly an hour. I thank you for anyone who watched any part of this. Thank you. Or who just participated in the journey, and anyone who threw some moral support my way on that day when I got to the end of Reputations and I was a little bit stressed out. And I was like, I'm a little intimidated now. And somebody in the comments was like, you lying. I was not lying. I was feeling intimidated. I was like, what am I doing? I can't stop now, because I've shared up to this point. And also, I just can't stop now. So thank you all for the support. I think we have such a lovely, beautiful community of throw crafters. And I think I'm really grateful to have had sort of participation from the community. And I'm not convinced I would have made it all the way through without people saying, you got this, you can do it, it looks cool, keep going. So nothing but love and gratitude for all of that. And we'll see what happens next. We'll see what comes next. But thank you, anyone who watched any of this. Though I'll be honest, I'm not convinced this one's gonna, I'm not convinced, if anybody watches this whole thing, I will be astonished. Though I know some people put it on as like background noise or to fall asleep. But if anyone authentically pays attention to this whole thing, that's hilarious, and like, let me know. But I wanted to record it for myself as much as for anything. I know that's nuts, but I wanted to take a little time just doing a little tour of it for myself, if nothing else. I think there will definitely be a day down the line where I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know if I can finish this project, and I'm gonna come back in here and watch a little clip of this and be like, well, you did that. So, I mean, who's to say where the limits are? So thank you all very much. I hope everyone has a lovely evening. Have a lovely April, a lovely spring, a lovely festival season. And I will be back in here soon. Or you can always come say hi to me over on Instagram, or you can come say hi to me at the Glitter Store at Glitter Heaven. Love to see people at NOLA Craft Culture, especially outside of carnival season. I know glitter is more of a seasonal thing for most people, but I be glittering all year round. So, if you want to say hi. And that is, I think, all. I think I've exhausted everything I possibly want to say about this. So I will bid everyone a good night.